Welcome to Finding Holiness, where we delve into timeless Torah wisdom, revealing the sacred in everyday moments. Join us on a journey to elevate your spirituality and discover holiness in every aspect of life. I'm your host, Rabbi David Kadosh, and together, let's embark on a path of spiritual exploration. I hope you enjoy this next episode. Okay, Shavua Tov, moving on in Masechet Yevamot, we are Perek Zayin, Mishna Bet. The next few Mishnayot are going to continue on the theme that we started on Thursday, which is whether or not a daughter of a Yisrael who marries a Kohen or vice versa, in terms of what allows her or gets her to eat the terumah, which is food that is reserved for the Kohanim, and what does not, and a whole bunch of different cases. So that's going to be the subject matter for the majority of the next few Mishnayot. So Mishnah Bet starts, Bat Yisrael sheniset la Kohen. If you have a Yisrael girl, that's a non-Kohen, who married a Kohen, so now she becomes permitted to eat terumah. Ve'nisa lo avadim. She brought slaves with her in this marriage. Ben avde melog, ben avde tzon u'marzel. Whether these are melog slaves, which means that they are hers and the husband has rights to them, or they are tzon u'barzel slaves where that the husband will acquire them outright. These slaves can eat terumah just like she can. Ubat Kohen sheniset leIsrael. If the daughter of a Kohen marries a Yisrael man, so now she's disqualified from eating terumah. Ve'ichnisa lo ben avde melog ben avde tzon barzel. And she brings in slaves, whether again melog or tzon barzel. These slaves can no longer eat terumah because she married a Yisrael Jew. Mishnah Gimel. Bat Yisrael sheniset le Kohen. If a Yisrael girl married a Kohen, umet, and the Kohen dies, and now he has sons. Problem is, ve'inicha me'uberet. He left her pregnant. She was pregnant when he died. Lo yochelu avadea beterumah. Her tzon barzel slaves cannot eat terumah mipenei chelko shel ubar, because of the share of the fetus that is in the woman. Maybe he's a male, and until he's actually born, they can't partake in the terumah, because slaves are partly owned by the Kohen's live sons who are Kohanim, and they're partly owned by this fetus that is inside the mom, who's not fully considered a father's child until he actually comes out and is born. That's when he fully gets the status of the Kohen. So therefore, they're forbidden to eat terumah. Because the rule is that a fetus disqualifies his mother from eating terumah if she is a Kohen's daughter who married a non-Kohen. Ve'eno ma'achil, and as well, a fetus does not allow his mother to eat terumah if she is a non-Kohen who married a Kohen. Divrei Rabbi Yosef. These are the words of Rabbi Yosef. Amru lo, the Chachamim told Rabbi Yosef, Me'achar shehe'alta lanu al bat Yisrael Kohen. Now that you've testified, now that you've ruled with regard to a Yisrael girl who was married to a Kohen who died, that the slaves cannot eat terumah because of the fetus's share in the slaves. Af bat Kohen le Kohen. Then you should rule the same way, even if a Kohen's daughter married a Kohen umet, and the Kohen died, so I mean Kohen to Kohen, ve'inicha me'uberet, and she's left pregnant, lo yochlu avadea beterumah mipenei chelko shel ubat. Then the slaves should not be allowed to eat the terumah, again for the same reason, because of the fetus's share in the slaves. Okay. With this said, the next Mishnah is going to list a whole bunch of different situations in where they can disqualify a woman from eating terumah, and as well at the same time do not entitle her to eat it if the other way around. So ha'ubar, a fetus, that's the case that we just said. Ayavam is the man who she fell to yibum. Erusin, the marriage, we'll call it engagement, the first stage of marriage. Cheresh, a deaf mute, someone who can neither hear or speak, married this girl. Uben tesha shanim v'yom echad, and a boy who is 9 years and 1 day old, who's reached the 9th birthday and cohabited with this woman. Poslin. All of these situations disqualify her from eating terumah if she was to fall into these categories. And at the same time, velo machilin, if she was a Yisrael, they do not entitle her to eat terumah in any of these cases. Safek shehu ben tesha shanim v'yom echad safek she'eno. Even if we're not sure if this boy is 9 years on one day or not, still he disqualifies her from eating teruma. Safek hevi shte se'arot, safek lo hevi. Also, if we're not sure if this boy over 13 who married this woman or got engaged to this woman had already grown 2 pubic hairs or not, because 2 pubic hairs officially makes you into an adult. If we're not sure, still he disqualifies her from eating teruma. Interesting case here at the end of Mishnah Dalet. Nafal habayit alav ve'al bat achiv. If a house fell on a man and his brother's daughter, which makes his niece, and they were married. So the man married his niece, and they both died in this collapse of a house. Ve'en yadua eze met rishon. We don't know whether the father died first or his niece, who was his wife, died first. Tzarta choletze velo mitjabemet. If he happened to have a co-wife, there was a co-wife involved, then that co-wife has to do chalitza and cannot do yibum with any remaining live brother that there is. The issues are like this: if the niece died before the husband, then he was not married to her at the time that he died, but only to the co-wife, so she requires yibum or chalitza. But if the husband died first and he was technically still married to the niece at the time that he died, so the co-wife is forbidden to the brother. So therefore we have to act strictly, and therefore the co-wife has to perform chalitza. Ha'ones, ha'mefate ve'ashote, whether you have a violator, which is someone who rapes a woman, or a seducer, or an insane person who cohabited with a woman, this is outside of marriage obviously, lo poslim, they do not disqualify the woman with whom they lived with from eating teruma if he's a non-Kohen and she's a Kohen's daughter. Velo ma'achilim, at the same time, if it's the other way around, if he's a Kohen and she's a Yisraelit, they don't entitle her to eat teruma. Cohabitation alone does not affect the ability of her to eat teruma. Ve'im enan re'uyim lavo be'Yisrael, but if these men are unfit to enter the Jewish congregation, meaning they're biblically forbidden to marry a Jewish girl, hare eru poslin, then they do disqualify her from eating teruma just by cohabiting with her. Mishnah goes on to explain how this is true. Ketzad, how so? Israel sheba al bat kohen. If one of these 3 guys, again, the violator, the seducer, the insane person was a Israel who lived with a Kohen's daughter, tochal bat teruma, she could still eat teruma. Ibra, if she becomes pregnant by him, lo tochal teruma, she may not eat teruma because of the fetus. We spoke about the fetus already. Nechtach ha'ubar b'me'ea, if the fetus died, literally means cut up inside of her, that means the fetus is not valid, it won't survive. Tochel, she can eat teruma again because she's no longer pregnant with a non-Kohen's child. Another case, Kohen sheba al bat Yisrael. If one of these 3 guys who was a Kohen cohabited with a Yisrael girl, lo tochal bat teruma, she may not eat teruma because living with a Kohen outside of marriage does not entitle her to eat. Ibra, if she became pregnant, lo tochel, she cannot eat teruma because the fetus from a Kohen does not entitle the non-Kohen mother to eat. Yalda, however, if she gave birth to the Kohen's child, then tochel, she could eat the teruma because now she has a child from a Kohen. Nimsa kocho shel ben gadol mishel av. We see from here that the son's, the strength of the child to entitle a non-Kohen woman to eat teruma is greater than that of the fathers. The fathers, who was this violator or seducer, didn't have the power to enable her to eat teruma while he wasn't married to her, but the son who was born gave her the power to eat teruma. Ha'eved posel mishum bia, a Canaanite slave disqualifies a Kohen from eating teruma on account of living with her, because the slave is forbidden of marrying her. But it does not disqualify her from eating teruma on account of just being her offspring. Ketzad, how so? And with this, we still got a couple more cases and we'll conclude. It's a very long Mishnah. Ketzad, bat Yisrael le Kohen. If the daughter of a Yisrael was married to a Kohen, so Yisrael married to a Kohen, bat Kohen le Yisrael, or the other way around, you have a daughter of a Kohen married to Yisrael, ve'yalda imenu ben, and she had a son. Ve'alach ben v'nichbash al shifcha. The son went and lived with a non-Jewish slave woman. Ve'yalda mimenu ben. And then that slave woman had a son from him. So there's a grandson. Hareh ze eved. This son, who's the grandson of the original couple, okay, is a Canaanite slave, even though he has a Jewish father. Haita em aviv bat Yisrael kohen. If his father's mother is Yisrael's daughter who married a kohen, okay, lo tochal bat teruma, she can't eat from teruma because she doesn't officially have offspring from a kohen. Bat kohen le Yisrael, and if the father's mother is a kohen's daughter who was married to Yisrael, tochal bat teruma, she could eat teruma because she is not considered to have offspring from a kohen and she remains her kohen status. Mamzer posel. A grandson, again, back to a grandson who's a mamzer, disqualifies a kohen's daughter from eating teruma, uma achil, but entitles a Yisrael's daughter to eat teruma. How so? Ketzad, bat Yisrael kohen. If you have a Yisrael's daughter girl was married to a kohen, ubat kohen Israel, or a kohen's daughter was married to Israel, v'yalda menu ben, and they had a girl from him. And that girl went and married a non-Jewish slave, or just a non-Jew. And then they had a son. This son is mamzer. Therefore, if his mother's mother, if his grandmother is a Yisrael who was married to a kohen and is now widowed, divorced, okay, and then the only thing that's left is her daughter's son, who's a mamzer. Tochal bat teruma, she may eat teruma because she has offspring from a kohen. Bat kohen le Israel, and if his mother's mother, if the grandmother is a kohen's daughter who was married to Israel, lo tochal teruma, she may not eat teruma because she's considered to have offspring from a non-kohen. We'll continue Bezat Hashem tomorrow.